So today's theme is happiness. This was a theme that was requested in terms of, having the courage really to be happy, to, how do we go past our negative emotions? How do we go from, asking, why is my life this way, to just being happy with what we have and happy with the way things are? And I was so inspired by you guys and by this theme that I actually wrote a little poem, and I don't know, I don't write poems. That's not something that I usually do. So forgive me. What we'll do is, if you want, you can either sit, you can have your eyes open or closed. You can lie down. The class will be starting physically, the class lying down on our mat. So if you want to establish yourself lying down right away, you can. So whether you're lying or sitting, make sure that you feel comfortable, at ease. Check in with your breath, maybe a hand over the heart. Finish your exhales. And settle into yourself, into your body. On happiness. So here we go. You don't deserve happiness. Deserving happiness implies that some inner critic or external judge is evaluating your worth. You were born worthy of unconditional happiness. No one can make you happy. When we put our happiness in someone else's hands, we're also giving them our power. Empower yourself and remember, your happiness belongs to you. No thing can make you happy. When we believe that things in the ever-changing world can either grant us or deny us our happiness, we are bound to feel insecure. Happiness lives in the stable, unshakable, unchanging core of your being. Happiness cannot be earned. We cannot work for our happiness because it's already ours for free. Happiness is our birthright. The pursuit of happiness is futile. We cannot chase happiness because it's already here inside us. Happiness is who we really are. It is our true nature. So be still and make space for your happiness to shine through your foggy thoughts and murky feelings like a beam of sun piercing through the clouds. Have faith. Rest. There's nothing for you to do. Make peace with the present and surrender to the joy that is you. So this little poem addresses some of the beliefs or culturally that we have around happiness, that you somehow have to earn happiness, that you have to deserve happiness, that other people and other things can make you happy. And I'd like to empower you today in this practice to remember that according to the yogic text, the yogic philosophy, and probably what you have experienced through this practice, is that our true nature is Ananda, it's bliss, right? So as we calm the mental chatter, as we relax the body, and as the breath circulates freely through the body, we become in touch with the Ananda Maya Kosha, the bliss body, which is the mirror of the true self. And this type of happiness or joy, this bliss, is completely intrinsic. It is independent from all external circumstance. So it is my great wish and intention for you in this class to be able to do this. And of course, the more we place expectations and the more we grasp, the further things get from us. So this is really just again, getting into that space of receptivity. when all the Maya, all the illusion is removed, we will automatically find that happiness is already there, just like the sun behind the clouds. So if you are not already in a lying down position, you can maybe take a deep breath and stretch out and then come to join us lying down on your back. Just have your strap handy. You need your strap. And once you're on your back, you can come into a nice big stretch, reach the arms out, reach the toes away from you, stretch onto your back. From here, slowly start to wiggle the tips of the fingers and the toes, rotate the wrists and the ankles. And take the arms overhead and the toes away. And stretch out again. Maybe a yawn will come out. Open the mouth wide. See if the yawn comes out. And then hold on to your right wrist with your left hand, right wrist with the left hand, and draw the shoulders over to the left, pulling gently on that right wrist. Then move the legs over to the left as well, so that we start to feel a stretch in the right side of the body. Push out through the right heel, and either hold it here or cross the left leg over into Balanasana, into our banana-shaped pose. And we'll imagine that with each stretch that we're making space for the circulation of prana. And through the circulation of prana, the physical and mental tensions are starting to dissipate, to dissolve, okay? Making the Ananda Maya Kosha a little more visible, just like that sun through the clouds. So we'll come back to center now and switch over to the other side. So at your own pace, grab onto your right wrist your left wrist with your right hand. Bring the whole shoulders, the arms a little bit over to your right side, and then push out through the left leg. Move the feet over to the right and cross your right ankle over your left ankle. Nice side stretch here. Making space for the flow of energy, releasing the illusions, the mayas, the manomaya koshas, the sheath, the illusion of the mind, pranamaya kosha, the energy of the body, and anamaya kosha, that is the food body, our physical body. So once those three things are calm, in harmony and balance, then we get in touch with our true nature. So take one more breath here. And come back to center. Readjust the legs, separate the legs. And we'll bring just the right knee into the chest to Pavanmuktasana, so just a wind removing pose here. Every inhale, feel the contact between the abdomen and the thigh. And as you exhale, draw the knee in a little bit closer, creating a compression in the belly here. And as we do this, we're massaging the ascending colon. Bringing fresh blood and oxygen to the digestive system, to the liver. And if you want a bit of a deeper stretch in the groins, then you can push out through the left heel. And push down through the left leg. From here, we're going to move that knee out to the side. And this might be plenty, already feeling a bit of a deeper stretch in the hip. Second option is to come into an Ananda Velasana, happy baby pose, either by holding your ankle, maybe your pant leg, or holding the foot. If you do have your strap close by, you can also do this with the strap around the foot and either with the sole of the left foot on the ground or the leg extended. Good. Breathe here. Keeping both hips grounded on the floor. So make sure that your left hip stays on the ground. And from here, we're going to extend the leg up. So we're not holding these shapes as long, perhaps, as some of our other yin postures. They're more of a warm up for what's coming next, or just to bring in the repetition. So here, we're holding onto the back of the leg, straightening the leg up towards the ceiling. The knee doesn't have to be straight. If you're feeling a nice stretch in the hamstring, you can just have your hands around your thigh here. Or, again, the option of the strap around the foot. If you have the strap around the foot, keep your shoulders relaxed and your elbows close to the ground. Either the sole of the left foot stays on the ground or the leg can extend. The nice thing about the strap is if you push through the ball of your big toe into the strap and add a little pressure on the strap with your hands, you might start to feel this in the Achilles tendon, in the back of the calf. If you're mostly feeling it behind the knee, then maybe bend the knee a little bit to break up the stretch. Jaw relaxed. Another 3 breaths here. Make them easy breaths. No pressure. Even when we breathe deeply, when we breathe fully, we also want to make sure that we're leaving space for buoyancy. There's something really easeful about it. It's never forceful. And then slowly release your strap if you have the strap. You can bring the knee back into the chest for a moment and then extend the leg along the ground. And you might already notice a difference from one side to the other. Maybe your right leg feels a bit more heavy or grounded or longer. When you're ready to, let's bring the left knee into the chest. So we start with a few deep breaths here, bringing the energy down, the descending colon on this side. So as we inhale, the belly compresses against the thigh. And as we exhale, we're bringing that knee a little closer into the chest. And again, you have the option of having the sole of the right foot on the ground here. And then take the knee out to the side. And either hold it here or hold on to the ankle or the foot. You can use the strap around the foot. You can have the sole of the right foot on the ground too if you'd like. Make it so that you can breathe and you can smile throughout this practice. So that's why the only stable source of happiness is the true nature, your unshakable core of your being, where true happiness resides. So from here, you can release if you've had the strap, just bring the knee back over the chest and start to straighten your legs. So you can go from having the knee into the chest. Sometimes it's actually easier to straighten the leg from there because we already have the crease in the hip. And you can either hold your hands around the leg. If the flexibility is there to hold the foot, go ahead. Otherwise, maybe use your strap again. Relax the arms, relax the elbows, relax the jaw. Relax the breath. Good. So another 3 or 4 breaths here on this side. Complete your exhales all the way out. Whatever you are experiencing in this moment, it is what it is. Accept it totally. Every emotion, every thought, every sensation. Understanding that it's all part of the changing world and that none of it can either give you or take away your happiness. That you own the happiness that is within you beyond the changing world. So we'll release the foot. And once again, so you can start by bringing the knee into the chest from there, and then lower the leg along the ground. And again, take a few moments here just to feel whatever there is to feel. Feel whatever there is to feel. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I was born worthy of unconditional happiness. True happiness is unconditional. I was born worthy. So on your next inhale, take the arms overhead, the toes away into a nice big stretch. And then either bring the soles of the feet to the ground and rock over to one side to come up to sit in, or you can take the hands around the knees or behind the knees and roll back and forth a few times to come up. We're going to come into a squat next. So this, probably should have said before you sat up that if you want to just come into a full happy baby instead of a squat, you certainly can. You might find it more accessible to do a happy baby, so that's one option. And otherwise, we're coming into Malasana Squat, and you might like to either sit on 2 blocks or maybe have blocks under your heels or a rolled blanket under your heels if the heels don't touch the ground. So the legs are wide, wider than hip width. You'll see what feels comfortable for you or good for you. The feet are turned out to the sides, the knees slightly angled out, and we can have our hands to the heart or out in front for balance if it's more comfortable. Lengthen up through the crown of the head. And hold it here smilingly. But whatever is coming up for you, it is what it is. Your happiness is pristine. It doesn't have to be affected by the shape that you're in, literally. So one key to freedom and to not feel like a victim of circumstance is a wonderful quote by Eckhart Tolle. He says, when your present moment is unbearable, you always have 3 choices. You can either leave the situation, change something about it, or accept it totally. Right? So anytime you're here, if you absolutely cannot accept something because it's harming you, it's painful, then that's not the kind of thing that we're cool with accepting, right? That you can change or come out of a pose and just accept that as well. And we have about 1 more minute here. Let's take another deep breath together. And to transition out of the pose, we're going to come into a dangling pose. So this is one of the only standing in postures. Now, if you happen to have your blocks under your seat or under your heels, you can take them out and take them in front of you and keep the contact of the abdomen and the thighs as you slowly come up and straighten the legs out and come into a forward bend. So I'll just turn so that you can see more easily. So you can have your knees bent any amount. You can even come to a half forward bend with the hands on the blocks, if that's more comfortable, more accessible, or the hands to the ground. Relax the head.
So we won't hold this as long, but just be aware that the upper body is relaxed. Maybe you're feeling a bit of a hamstring stretch here. Perhaps gradually straightening the legs a little bit more. And of course, if you were doing this on lying down on your back, you could just have both legs up in the air in a double leg stretch with the strap around both feet. All right, so from here, come down onto your mat, sitting onto your mat. And we'll take the diamond shape. So similar shape again, an opening of the hips. And if you find that you're rocking back towards your tailbone, then by all means sit up either on a block. I'm going to use my cushion. You could use a folded blanket. Make sure that your sits bones are firmly planted in the ground. So here, treat yourself to a little foot massage. You can take your thumbs into the kind of the arch of the foot, or I was going to say the spine of the foot, and massage your feet. And remember again that you don't have to do anything to deserve this. This happiness and love that you can have for yourself is, and the acceptance is unconditional. So it's beyond good and bad. And then maybe coming down a little bit lower. And an option here is to, like the toe separators, take a finger between each toe, or attempt to anyway, accepting what's there, opening up the feet, and stretch out the toes. Now you can either allow the head to completely release now, and the space between the shoulder blades to release, the chin towards the chest, or if it's more comfortable for you to have a support under the forehead like a block, you can definitely do that as well. Just notice if you're holding anywhere, if you're clenching your jaw or clenching your throat, and see what you can release and let go. Coming back into the witnessing mind, so totally present. So if you've noticed that you've been caught up in an emotion, in a thought, in a sensation, just take a deep breath and loosen, create space, be still, space around the experience, and come back home into the witnessing consciousness that is always present, stable, the seed of your soul, the wellspring for happiness, for joy, unaffected by the changing world,
understanding that everything is always changing. Accepting that change. It is what it is. Surrender to the present moment. Surrender to what is. A few more breaths here. And then slowly rise back up. Help the knees in together. Separate the feet. Take the hands behind you and windshield wash the legs side to side. You can leave the legs over to one side and lift the chest up. Maybe turn the head to the opposite direction or take it back slightly. Inhale, come back to center and exhale over to the other side. So our true happiness or true nature is different than pleasant sensation. If we chase pleasant sensations outside of ourselves because it's part of the changing world, eventually it changes, right? Or maybe it's out of our grasp, or we become addicted to it. So, true joy, true happiness is not the same thing as pleasure, pleasant. Inhale, come back to center. And take the legs out in front of you with your knees bent. We're coming into a caterpillar pose, so you can take the hands under your legs or under your thighs if you like. You can also have your legs a little wider if that's more comfortable. And then just start to slide the feet away from you, and you can slide them forward any amount, maybe until you start to feel a stretch. And it doesn't have to be a stretch behind the hamstrings. Here we're accessing the whole back line of the body, so you might feel it in the back of your neck or between your shoulder blades if you allow the back to round. Experiment and see for yourself what feels good. So you don't have to have a particular expectation of what to feel in the stretch. Just get to a place where it feels good. A general rule I'll give you is to just come towards the front of your sits bones to keep the contact between the thighs and the belly, and that just helps to keep the lower back a bit safer. So maybe taking the head and tucking it in. And this can also be done with a bolster, either under your knees, if you want to release the hands, or across your chest, if you want to have the legs straight. Once you're here, you can have the eyes closed or partially open.
Relax your jaw, relax your shoulders. Be still and make space for your happiness to shine through the foggy thoughts and murky feelings like a beam of sun piercing through the clouds. Have faith, rest. There's nothing for you to do. Make peace with the present and surrender to the joy that is you. Restez tranquille. Faites de l'espace en vous pour la joie de pouvoir percer les nuages des pensées et des émotions négatives. Ayez la foi, lâchez prise. Il n'y a plus rien à faire. Soyez en paix avec le présent et abandonnez-vous à la joie qui est en vous. And very slowly start to make your way back up. So here we can take our props out of the way and keep the legs extended but a little wider, and maybe lean back a bit and just windshield wash the legs from side to side. Perhaps coming down to the forearms, lifting the head up or the chest up and the head down. Eventually making your way all the way to the ground. And the lower back might be sensitive, so bring the soles of the feet on the ground, the knees about hip width apart. Just remaining here in neutral, feeling what there is to feel. And when you're ready to shift your hips over to the left side, take the knees up and over to the right side for a spinal twist. So you can have your right hand on the top leg, maybe a little prop under your shoulder, like a block under your shoulder, or the opposite, a prop under your bottom leg to bring the shoulder closer to the ground. So think of a teeter-totter, that often either the shoulder comes up
as the legs come down, or as the shoulders come down, the legs come up. So supporting one or the other, unless your spine is such that you can have both down at the same time. And rest here. Déposez-vous, détendez-vous, lâchez prise. A few more breaths here. And on the next deep breath in, inhale, come back to center. Readjust your spine. On prend un aperçu de comment on se sent entre les deux côtés. Et on l'accepte totalement. It is what it is. And then shift your hips over to the right side, take the knees up and over to the left. So again, maybe using your cushion here to either under your shoulder or under your legs. You'll see what feels more comfortable for you. So accepting what is not the same thing as being passive. So you can accept a situation and then with intention, mindfully choose how you want to react. And that way you keep your power, you stay empowered in a situation. So again, je vais le dire en français cette fois-ci, la citation de Eckhart Tolle. Si votre moment présent est insupportable, vous avez toujours trois choix. Soit de quitter la situation, soit de changer quelque chose, ou bien de l'accepter complètement. Quand on fait ça, on ne devient pas la victime de nos circonstances, du beau temps, du mauvais temps. Voilà. Notre choix, notre contentement est indépendant de tout ce qui est à l'extérieur de nous. C'est intrinsèque. Alors, on ne peut pas mériter la joie. De mériter, ça implique un jugement, une critique qui dit qu'on est bon, on n'est pas bon. Mais c'est pas vrai. On est tous nés avec la valeur. On a tous le droit à la joie inconditionnelle.
Quelques grandes respirations profondes et en même temps douces et relaxes de ce côté-ci. Et on revient doucement au centre. Again, stay here, feel what there is to feel. If the back is at all feeling sensitive, stay with the back totally neutral. If it feels okay for you or it feels good for you to bring the knees in towards your chest, you can do that as well. Just keep the sacrum on the ground and the whole back on the ground. In our last pose before Shavasana, you'll either just come into pentacle pose, or I like to call it starfish, where you just lay out on the ground, with the legs apart, the arms apart, into a star shape. Either that, or come into your version of a supported bridge. So that could be with your bolster, it could be with your block underneath the sacrum. Your block has 3 levels, so you can make your bridge high or low. So we want the block under the flat triangle-shaped bone that sits between the hips and the tailbone or the pubic bone right here. And this should feel pretty good after the hip opening and the forward bends. And a variation that you can come into here is to extend the legs up towards the sky. Donc, vous avez l'option maintenant d'étendre les jambes vers le ciel. Might require a slight adjustment of your prop to feel balanced and supported here. So as has been the theme in all of the classes here, so much happens when we stop trying, doing, chasing, when we just settle in, still, and make space for receiving, for recognizing, for remembering what is there. Like the 100-watt light bulb that we're all born with, that gets muddied and mucked over and dusty over time. Each little muck and mar on that light being a different life experience that dimmed our light in some way, that made us feel that we weren't worthy, weren't good enough. So that we come to adulthood and this 100-watt light feels like a 20-watt light. And we forget. And so we start to look outside of ourselves for the things that will help us to feel shiny again and shine brighter. Until we come into this practice and we start to peel away the layers of physical and mental tension through mindfulness, through the breath, through the stretches and the relaxation. It's like doing a little cleaning and polishing of that light, and remembering that everything that we had to shine bright, that happiness is already there. It was there all along, because it's who we really are, and it's our birthright. It's what we're born with. If
you've had the legs up in the air, take them back down slowly, back to your bridge position. And when you're ready to push into your feet to lift the hips just enough to slide your prop out from underneath you. And again, pause here, rest here. Maybe taking the knees in towards each other if it feels good in constructed rest pose, but not necessary. You can also just keep your knees straight, again, if the back is sensitive. You might find some comfort in placing one hand over the belly, one hand over the heart, and just feeling the breath here as it is. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Je m'aime et je m'accepte profondément et inconditionnellement. Je suis digne de la joie inconditionnelle. I am worthy of unconditional happiness. No one and no thing can make me happy or unhappy. My happiness belongs to me. And then either take your knees into your chest for one final last hug, or take the legs straight down into Shavasana. Get yourself really comfortable here. And have a blanket over the body. Maybe take your bolster under your knees for a little extra support for the lower back. Relax the jaw, soften the forehead, relax the eyes deeper into the skull. The head is heavy. You can imagine the brain making its way down to the seat of the soul, to the heart, resting here. Relax your entire being from the head to the toes and the toes to the head. From the head to the toes and the toes to the head, relax. 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 You don't deserve happiness. Deserving happiness implies that some inner critic or external judge is evaluating your worth. You were born worthy of unconditional love. No one can make you happy. When we put our happiness in someone else's hands, we are giving them our power. Empower yourself and remember, your happiness belongs to you. No thing can make you happy. When we believe that things in the ever-changing world can either grant us or deny us our happiness, we are bound to feel insecure. Happiness lives in the stable, unchanging core of your being. Happiness cannot be earned. We cannot work for our happiness because it's already ours for free. Happiness is your birthright. The pursuit of happiness is futile. We cannot chase happiness because it's already here inside us. Happiness is who we really are. It's our true nature. So be still and make space for the happiness to shine through your foggy thoughts and murky feelings like a beam of sun piercing through the clouds. Have faith. Rest. There's nothing for you to do. Make peace with the present and surrender to the joy that is you. Slowly start to deepen the breath again. Wiggle the tips of the fingers and the toes. Rotate the wrists and ankles. And take the arms overhead, the toes away into a nice big stretch. Bring the soles of the feet to the ground and rock over to one side, pausing here in the fetal pose. And let's take an breath together. Inhale. And then push your way up to a seated position. Hands to the heart, spine tall, eyes closed. Give yourself a big smile of appreciation for having taken this time for yourself. Embrace your happiness courageously. Om Shanti, peace. Peace in your heart, peace in your home, and peace in the world. Namaste.